Hey guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. So this video here might be a little bit longer than usual, and we're going to be talking about why I believe engagement optimized matchmaking should be illegal. And I would, to a certain extent, I would even argue that it is. But there's a couple of things that actually keep it into place from being illegal, and that is, at least from what I can see, and that is number one, that with every game that you start nowadays, especially like the multiplayer games like Call of Duty, there's this end user license agreement or whatnot that you have to scroll all the way down and just agree to. And you're basically what that means is, to my knowledge, that you're basically giving them permission to basically, you're playing this is what you're getting. You're giving us permission to blah, blah, blah. And you say yes, you just scroll down, you say yes, you want to play the game, blah, and all that. And number two is because it's been patented. Those two things right there are keeping it safe. Now, despite this, it's still a secret though, because the majority of players who are casuals don't know about it. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, according to my last video, and you guys saw the article and everything like that, and that I saw, and that I shared with you, well, the engagement optimized matchmaking algorithm is coming to single player games. So therefore, you are no longer going to have the option on whether to just chill and play a single player game casually and to enjoy its story and to not be overly challenged. And instead, what's going to happen is you are basically going to have that choice given for you. And then that right there, that choice is going to be made for you. So therefore, right there, that is one red flag right there. It's like freedom of choice taken away. And then on top of that, this algorithm is going to assume, through all these years of research that they've had on us from playing games, that it's going to assume that it could tell us how we're supposed to feel when every single human being is different. Some human beings are going to want a challenge from the get-go. Some of them are not. Some of them are going to just want to breeze through the game. And the thing is, why is this even a thing? This is a single-player game that you're playing against, AI-controlled enemies, right? And so on and so forth. It's an experience. So they want to control your experience, and I think that the greed factor is just going way out of line, and they've been overreaching for years, and now it's getting to like insane levels. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, because especially for those of you guys that are around my age, which is 39, we experienced single player games first and foremost before we got our hands on any multiplayer game on any platform whatsoever. And those memories that we have of the games that we had growing up, and then the games that we've had to this day, are some of the greatest memories you can ever have in games. Like, I have no problem telling people that before I fell in love with multiplayer games, I fell in love with single player games, and I still love single player games to this day. I have a big ass backlog of games that I want to play that are single player. There's even some games that I want to replay. And that just goes to show you how good those games are, right? So, and nowadays, here's the other thing why I am so worried, because some of you guys might be saying, well, Jack, it's just Sony, right? So play Xbox, play Nintendo, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. I have little to no doubt that the other guys are going to follow suit, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the biggest reason is because everything, especially over the last handful of years, has been online. You need an internet connection in order to play said game, right? And physical copies really just don't do anything anymore, really. You really don't own the game anymore. You still have to have an internet connection, and you're still installing the entire game even after you put that disc in. So getting that physical copy has little to no value like it once did. So when you require to be online, right? Well, you're basically handing over the controls over to them when there's an algorithm like this implemented. I think this is how they were able to get so much data and research in terms of how we play games and stuff like that, and to presumably come up with a quote unquote algorithm that is literally trying to control our experience, because it's trying to tell us how we're supposed to feel, or it assumes, we're going to feel this way or we're going to feel that way. And when you look at a game like Elden Ring, for instance, which is very hard, which also happened to be very popular because of word of mouth, there were so many fascinating stories and amazing stories of people that were very casual gamers and still got through Elden Ring. They still played the game. They beat, the bosses, and it was a very fascinating experience, and they kept on getting better, and they learned more and stuff like that. It's like, okay, like, people can do this in not just multiplayer games, but in single player games. Like, I even talked to my boss about this, and he quit playing video games somewhere around the PlayStation 2 or the N64 era. And And he just kind of grew out of it, but he's very much into sports, and we have conversations about this, and he still has fond memories of when he gamed growing up as a kid. And he's 1 year older than me, so we're within the same generation. And I explained to him about this because I uploaded the video before going to the gym before my shift started, and in the middle of my shift I talked to him about this because we have our conversations. We talk about sports, we talk about fitness, we talk about all these other things. So basically, I gave him the scenario of such and such, of what engagement optimized matchmaking is and what they're trying to do and such and stuff. And I explained to them how loot boxes were once a thing and then they became illegal and such and such. So I gave him a few minute rundown, and he's a very intelligent person. He understands. And basically, at the end of the day, he pretty much agreed. As a casual person, he pretty much agreed that, like, people get better. I mean, it's simple as that. You can't, you can't be holding people by the hands, so to speak. He even gave me the nod. He nodded. He completely understood. And it's like, so it's like you're not playing the game is playing you. And I said how that's coming to single player games. And, it wasn't a pleasant, type of a conversation to have, especially when you take somebody who's as passionate as I am, who's been gaming for over 30 years. Probably 32 now, because I'm 39 years old and I started when I was 7. So, I mean, there's a lot of experiences that I've had in games. And a lot of that was because my experience was my own. My experience was my own. My friend's experience was his own. And we basically combined our experiences at times. We used to co-op games. Even when there was no option to co-op, you'd pass on the controller when you die or when you complete a level or however you wanted to set it up with your friend. Those memories are priceless. Those memories are a part of our childhood and such and so on and so forth. And now they're trying to take control of that and to take that away. And I think every single gamer out there that's aware of this, and even every single content creator that's aware of this, like, needs to do everything in their power to, like, say, no, we don't want this. Like, obviously the biggest thing that we can do is affect the pockets, right? Like, don't buy their shit because we know. So yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like, don't buy it because you know what's coming, and yeah, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it's just another way for them to have more control and probably gather even more data and probably to test out AI and all this other stuff. And it's like, I'm just sitting here scratching my head and saying no. Some of you guys in the comment section have basically told me that what's it called? That it's like the end of gaming or the beginning of the end of gaming, and it's absolutely true. Because one of the things that made gaming so great was your own personal experience. It's like, here you go, here's your personal experience. Like, one thing I can tell you is that one of the worst things a parent can do, and I've got a lot of experience working with kids back when I taught martial arts. There used to be 30, sometimes even 40 kids in a class at the same time, and I'd be in charge of everything. And it would be a year-round deal. And one thing I can tell you is that if a parent holds their child's hand too much, or if they're too overprotective, or if they keep them from trying to fail and keep them from failing in life, at the end of the day, it's counterproductive, because you don't get stronger that way. You get stronger through failure. You get stronger through making your mistakes. So those are the ultimate lessons. And now, and to a certain degree, it's almost like this game is not only this algorithm would not only try to hold your hand to an extent, but it's like it literally wants to control when you're going to have a good time and when you're not going to have a good time. Like, this is beyond wrong, in my opinion, when you look at it from a morality standpoint, when you look at it from an experience standpoint, and everything else, really. I hope to see more content creators make a subject on this, make tons of videos on this. And it's like, I was pretty shocked. Well, I don't want to say shocked, but I was very upset to hear that this is going to be a thing, starting with Sony. And I've already mentioned of why Microsoft and probably Nintendo is going to follow along, because they require you to be online. And if they don't require you to be online, let's put it this way. Let's say Nintendo's next console that's going to come out in 2024, the Super Nintendo Switch or the Switch 2 or whatever the hell else they're going to call it. if it doesn't require an online connection in order for you to play and enjoy the games, and you can get the, you know, the hard copies, and you can enjoy those hard copies, and you don't require to be online, then I will only buy Nintendo games. And I have no problem, because the Nintendo games are terrific. But I don't know. I don't have a Switch currently. I mean, does a Switch require you to be online all the time? I don't think so, because you can make it portable. So yeah, all of a sudden, everything from, let's say, the Xbox 360 era, except for the Switch and Nintendo, of course. I mean, everything from the 360 era and before, as far as Sony and Microsoft are concerned. Actually, no. Microsoft, everything from Xbox 360, Sony from PlayStation 4, because you could play the PlayStation 4 games offline, and you can buy the hard disk and play those games. That generation and every generation before, it just makes those previous consoles that much more valuable now, because, and thank God that most of us haven't played every single game out there, so we can always kind of go back and kind of play games and have experiences that we never played before. But at the same time, it's like we won't, you know, it's like, for me personally, if you know, when this comes to full force and full fruition, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of two things, guys. I'm either going to stop playing completely, or I'll just play the old stuff. And that's it. That's it. And as far as content creation is concerned, of course, we have X Defiant, which is not going to seem to have this mumbo jumbo. But of course, when it comes to YouTube and other things, there's always other options as well. I've always wanted to try out a movie type of channel and make content on that, because I have a lot of ideas and I just never did it. Or I can do a fitness / martial arts / cooking channel or whatnot. I could be whatever, just for fun. Because originally it was all about gaming, starting with the passion of Call of Duty. And now, thanks to your blessing, you guys are being very supportive with X Defiant. But, again, if the experience is ruined for said reason with any game, or with gaming in general, or something like that, it's like, it's kind of like going to a restaurant. Here comes my food analogy again, right? If your experience is no longer the same with the restaurant, and things go to shit, you're going to go to another restaurant. Or you're just going to create stuff yourself at home. Or make a change, right? There's going to be a change of some kind. So, same philosophy applies here. So, in closing, I just want to say that for any content creator out there, whether you're big or small, in the middle, whatever, doesn't matter. Any gamer out there that is aware of this, we need to start by making it known that this is a problem. And we don't want this, and it's not, whatever. With multiplayer, it's we still have yet to see change, like legit change. And we know, as I mentioned before, the biggest way you can implement change is to affect the pockets. But with single player, we cannot let this infect single player games. We can't. Those are the origins of gaming. Single player games are the origins of gaming. Everything started with single player, and it's like, no matter what, we've always had a sanctuary, so to speak, in single player games, right? So let's say multiplayer games have been tinkered with so much that they ruin your experience, because they want to control what your experience is going to be like, instead of things happening organically and naturally. Guess what? We could always go to single player games, right? And now it's almost like they're closing the door on that too. And they're like, we don't want these people going anywhere, or some shit like that. But remember, in life, most of the time, there's always a choice. And I know this may be hard to hear for some people, but despite the fact that someone like me that's been playing games for 32 years, there are so many interesting things in life to partake in that giving up gaming, it literally is not the end of the world. I know it's a big thing for us gamers. I know we're very passionate about it. And this is coming from a 32-year gamer, okay? I'm 39 years old. I started when I was 7. So I know how hard it is to let go of something that you literally grew up doing for years and years, and precious years too. Like years of when you grew up, and years when you went through tough times, good times, everything in between. And there was that gaming experience, right? For the cherry on top. But that's just the thing. Gaming really is, when you look at it, it's just the cherry on top. You can still have a good time doing other things. And sometimes, as a matter of fact, it's pretty much guaranteed that you may surprise yourself. Because when you're forced out of one thing and you've got no choice but to go in another direction, or you make the choice to go in another direction, you'll be surprised as to what other things you will love, or what you'll come to love. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a pleasant experience. In the beginning, it's going to be a pain in the ass. But later on, when all is said and done, I think you'll be happy that of the new things that you learned, the new things that you picked up on and loved. And you're always going to miss gaming, especially if you're someone like me. But at the same time, there's so many other things that every and any gamer can do out there. Most of us have more than one passion. Most of us have more than one love. And most of us, if not all of us, love something that we have not discovered yet. So anyway, guys, that's going to conclude this commentary. I know it's a long video, and I appreciate all of you guys sticking with me on this one. But I want to know down in the comment section, please, what do you guys think about this? What do you think can be done, if anything? Do you guys believe that this is the end of gaming, so to speak, or the beginning of the end? What are your thoughts? I want to know down in the comment section, and as well as things about you, like how long have you been gaming? I mean, what does this mean to you? Let it be known down in the comment section. And of course, as always, thank you all for taking the time to watch and or listen. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.